Rangers Journal Night.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Rangers Journal. My name is Doug, and we are here to go over the aftermath of that, what can only be described, I think, as a gut-wrenching match against Manchester United. Rangers, obviously, in the Europa League tonight, looking to get a positive result, and it looked like we might just be about to do it until the dying seconds of the game. Here to go over the match with me, we've got Jock, who was also with us on the pre-match as well. Just as a quick summary, first of all, how are you feeling in the immediate moments after the game?
I think I'm still on the come down after the Dessers goal. Bit of a roller coaster that game, so it was. To get the goal, and we thought we had, we might snatch a draw here, which would be a fantastic result considering most of the game I think we spent sort of on the back foot, just going from left side to right side, just to try and sort of keep up with their play and then break when we can. And it's unfortunate because we had chances. I mean, we had a really good chance quite early on too. We just didn't get over the line. But I think I'm not overly disappointed in the grand picture, in the grand scheme of things. I think because obviously the depleted squad we have and the two goalkeepers on the subs bench is for Europa League games, it just shows you how low we are in numbers, and some of the names on that bench as well. No disrespect to them, shouldn't be sitting in Old Trafford dugout on a Europa League night,
Yeah, no, we will get on to some of the names on the bench. As it turned out, we needed far more of them than we'd have wanted in that second half. But starting in the first half, like you say, I thought we did okay in the first half. We got a few chances, as you noticed yourself. Man United had a few chances themselves. Obviously, they got the ball in the net at one point, but was chalked off for, I think, if we're honest with ourselves, a very light foul. It's one of those ones, if it had been the other way around, we'd have been screaming for the foul, but I think we were quite lucky there. But that said, I thought we were doing okay. We held in. We were sort of decent without sort of being inspirational. We definitely didn't have the same kind of tempo and things that we did against Tottenham, which is probably to be expected being an away game. But I thought we did okay. Were there any particular highlights in the first half for yourself?
The Iggy man for me stood out. He was tremendous. He was hold up play, his passing, his decision making was really good as well. His first touch, he bullied defenders. He was strong. He did everything you want of an isolated striker up there. We did everything right, and he played a great ball through for Raskin. They had a 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and when I seen it happen, I took a quick glance. I was like, "Who is it?" And then I realised it was Raskin, and he just had a wee stumble before he hit it, and then obviously the keeper saves it. I think if we scored that, I think we're looking at a different game, because focus goes right back onto Man United, and the crowd will be getting on their back too. I think if we scored that, it's a different game altogether. It was just what Saw's law. We just didn't get it in the net, and then Yilmaz had a chance as well. The great ball went in the box, and he made great contact with the ball, but it's a pretty straightforward save for the keeper. Those sort of ones you kind of want to go back across, and you never know, you might get a bump in an own goal or something, you get a corner out of it. And then, like you say, the goal that they scored was, we've been screaming at the other end for it, but I think it was a tad soft. I think we got away with one there, to be honest.
Yeah, like I say, I think you mentioned Yilmaz there. He had a very interesting game. I thought he was pretty good in the first half, but then second half, his touch absolutely deserts him. And sort of going into talking about that, obviously he loses the ball a couple of times before they get there first, but we'll get to that. I thought, as I say, as we were getting to the end of that half, I felt like we were in the game. I definitely agree. If we'd scored first, I think that could potentially have rattled them, because despite how dominant Man United ended up being, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the game against Aberdeen, in the way that we dominated that game from start to finish. But Aberdeen just kind of did enough to stay in the game, and you just had that feeling the whole way that if they get one chance, a lucky break. And I kind of felt that for us. The longer the game went on, I was kind of like, if we get a lucky break or something, then or just one good passage of play, we could be back in the game. And obviously that was how things eventually panned out. And at the halftime, I was kind of feeling okay about it, and hoping we could potentially come out, a bit refreshed and grow into the game. Did you feel confident at halftime yourself?
Yeah, usually it's half time they get the rocket and they do come out the second half and they play better. But like you say, we're very much in the game. Obviously, then the change in personnel has probably not helped. We had to bring on McCausland and Bailey Rice come on, and Rice was fantastic. I thought, it's him that plays the ball for the goal. I think for Dessers was a great. No, sorry, that was the one before it hit the post. So yeah, I think that probably unsettled the back line because obviously Tav had to then come into centre back as well. So at that point, you can understand the team sort of sinking and dropping deeper because they're obviously not familiar what the back line looks like. The personnel change probably hurt us, and then there was a few bodies in the middle of the pitch weren't really doing much either. Bajrami being one of them, he didn't offer anything at all really during the whole game, which was disappointing because I thought this would be a game for him to sort of take the stage and show what he could do, but he was nowhere to be seen today.
And if you were to pick a halftime, who your sort of man of the match was, who do you think was kind of a better performer in that first half?
I would go with Egeman just because I thought everything he did up front was great. You couldn't fault him at all. Everything you want from your number 9. If he's isolated up there, he held up the ball. His first touch, his strength, his vision. I thought he was brilliant. Even the second half, he didn't have as much in the second half, but he still showed the small touches and small possession that he did have. That he's got all the attributes to play at a very high level, especially in Premier League, because that was a Premier League team he was up against.
Yeah, I thought he had some really good moments, hustling players off the ball, and he has that. And again, I hate to keep doing it, but it does remind me of Morelos. He has that kind of battering ram effect sometimes, where he wants to just absolutely get through players, and he got a couple of half opportunities that way. I popped a poll into the chat just to see what the guys were thinking about that question. So they agree with you, Jock. 40% have gone with Egeman. 40% have said other. If you want to pop in the chat who you were thinking was our best player at halftime, we'll have a wee look over those names. 20% have gone for Balogun. I did think Balogun was having a solid game until he went off. Was disappointed when we lost him, and obviously, that becomes a bit of a theme in the game, losing players as well, which in the second half got a bit worrying. We've got a vote for Proper there, having done pretty well. I did think he had a good game. In that first half defensively, we were reasonably good. Obviously, United are always going to make chances with the quality that they've got, but we were reasonably good, and I did think, and into the second half as well, Proper was pretty solid. But going into the second half, then as I say, we got a very different half of football. It did continue with Man United sort of growing into the game, dominating more. But then, as I say, we had a couple of things happening. Yilmaz, further into the second half it got, he just seemed to it's as if his boots were covered in Vaseline. The ball just constantly slipping away from him, losing it behind. And he loses possession twice, giving away a corner. And then Jack Butland has what we can only call, for those who remember, his John Lukic moment, where he comes out to reach the cross, somehow punches forward, and the ball goes backwards and into the open net. Just it's one of those bizarre things. I think so he's come out, he's gone to it well enough, but he's just obviously gone a little bit underneath it. It's hit the back of his hands there at the front, and that's that. What were your thoughts as that went in?
It's not the first time it's happened this season, and the last time it did, he got away with it because the ref ruled it out for a foul. And everybody said that it was soft, that he got away with one, so it's not the first time he's done it this season. I think it's something he's probably going to have to work on. I mean, usually goalkeepers come out and it's 2 fists that you punch the ball with. I don't know why he's went with one hand, because if he has 2 fists to it, I think he's fine. For Scotty.
How you doing, Joe?
How's it going?
You're on
We've
mute.
got a third coming in to join us there. Welcome, Scotty.
I'm just back from a local Rangers club where a game was, how do I put it? The Sky satellite was affected in the kind of first 15 minutes of the first half, so I missed all his chances. But aye, that is what it was. How are you boys? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. We've just started talking about the second half there and touching on the Butland's John Lukic moment. Got any comments you want to add to that at this point?
Just overall, like, we ran them close. We need to be honest about this, right? Like, that's a squad that's worth £1 billion. Like, in the grand scheme of things, Doug, you'll know in terms of figures more than me how much a squad's worth, but they're worth a lot more money than us. I know Ahmed Diallo was at least £60 million for them for a youth product for Atlanta. So the fact of running them that close tonight isn't as bad. I'm looking at some of the comments just now and saying John Adams saying Dessa's got to be worth 10 million if Kyogo's worth it. Right, I'm sorry, right, we've had this discussion in my group chat today and there's no match because Kyogo scored goals in big games and Dessers hasn't he? So the fact that Dessers done a bear camp against Newcastle tonight is really good. And I would say his signals towards the end of the match would say he's on the way out.
Yeah, I've just pulled up some the Man United's details there. Their squad market value is £550 million. So that says all. You could buy Rangers multiple times over. The entire club in kit and caboodle. Garnacho 50 million, Fernandez 55 million, Hoyland, who came off the bench, 60 million. So I definitely think you're right there. You know, we can take something out despite having lost. And like I say, the manner as well. We stayed in the game throughout, which I think was really positive. Especially the next point I was going to be getting to. I did chucked a quick poll in about Jack Butland after that to see if folk think he should be dropped. 56% have said yes. I've seen a lot of things on social media as well as the comments in here as well. Reacting quite negatively with that. I do think you want to jump in?
Oh. Aye, if that's okay, Doug. I'm seeing things that come on, right? And Butland collecting howler after howler, and he's this and he's that, right? Come on, not to play Tav at centre back in the second half of the night, right? Come on's hands are tied to what he can do in any match. Now, see if Tav's playing against centre back against Dundee United on Sunday, fine, we need to win, right? It's a league. We're playing against Manchester United tonight. I think there needs to be a lot of context put into this performance tonight. We played really well, we ran them close, we scored, we created chances, we competed. Is that not enough? I don't see why Clermont needs to take one in the chin for this tonight. For Butland's human error. No, it's a human error. He started his most experienced goalkeeper who's played at this stadium before. So sorry, I had to bite at that.
No, I totally agree with everything you've said there. And the point I was going to add, as I was saying there, about people, the stuff I've been seeing about social media and stuff about Jack Butland. Jack Butland actually overall, if you take that one issue out, had a really good game. He made a couple of really, really good saves in that match. Now, obviously, you know, the howler's a howler. He is just back from injury, and I think it's unfortunate that obviously his form was poor before, and so that people are kind of just pulling it all together. But you know, he's obviously had a couple of weeks out. He's had to come into a massive game, and I just think it's really unfortunate. And you know, he's going to have to deal with that though. The pressure is on him now to pick that form up. So you know, he'll have a lot to do in that regards. But I think, as I said, I think we need to be wary about going too hard on him. I still think there's a significant gap between him and Kelly. For example, I think Kelly's a decent goalkeeper, but I don't think he's as good as Jack Butland. But we'll see how that goes. Obviously, he will need to pick up his form, and things need to improve in that regards. But time will tell. John's disagreeing with me. He says that he thinks the saves were basic. So obviously, as I say, he's dividing opinion right now. Where do you kind of sit on it, Jock, in terms of Jack Butland? Do we drop him straight away? Do we keep him and try and get him to play through it?
No, I don't think so. He'll play through it. He's number one. Simple as that. He's number one. And Kelly was brought in as number two. And Kelly signed the contract knowing he was going to be number two and he was going to get chances whenever Butland wasn't playing in those cup games. So that's it. Butland got injured. Kelly's come in. He's done okay, but Kelly's had been at fault for a goal as well against Hibs. So let's say Butland's had this. This is the second time Butland's made this mistake. He'll know about it. I'm sure he's probably in there, probably beating himself up about it because he's one of the boys that will come out and face the criticism for it. He's not feared of that. He will stand in front of the camera. He's a leader. So we'll have to wait and see what he comes out and says. But he'll be hurting. And like as Scotty says, it's a human error. It's a bad mistake. It's one of those things. The ball could have went anywhere when he came out and punched it. It's just went the opposite direction of what he's aiming for. He's made, like you said, Doug, he's made some good saves. People say they're basic saves. They're still saves nonetheless. He's still stopped the ball from going in the net. That's what he's paid to do. He's kept us in the game at certain points as well. His best performances this season have been in the Europa League. There's no doubt in that. And he'll bounce back from that. He has to come back and up his game. He'll know that himself.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving further into the game then, obviously the second half, I think, let's say things started to go from bad to worse as we started players just dropping like flies. Obviously, we'd lost Balogun, we lost Cherney, and we lost Barron, and that as the game went on. And so, ironically enough, having not wanted to seemingly start the youngsters against Fraserburgh, he picked them over, and I have to give him credit for this. He picked them over. Lawrence was on the bench. His favourite Dowell, who he likes to throw on, was on the bench, and he didn't pick those players. He went with the young guys, put on Rice, he put on Curtis. Coslin came on as well. That's obviously more expected. And I think both the youngsters did pretty well given the circumstances. Curtis had a couple of moments. He gave the ball away a few times, but he's playing Man United out of nowhere, so I'm going to let him off of that. But Rice in particular, I thought, played really well. He came on, he made a few chances, he had a couple of shots, and while they weren't decisive, I think it shows the mentality, it shows the confidence that he was able to come and impose himself to some degree. Scotty, what did you make of the guys that had to come on in the second half?
So let's speak about the lineup that finished the game tonight, right? So you had Jack Butland, you had Leon King, James Tavernier, Proper, Jeffrey, then you had Bailey Rice, Nicholas Raskin. Then you had, hold on a minute, Finlay Curtis, you had Agaman, you had, who was left wing, Ross McCausland and Dessers up front. So that just kind of tells you what we had to deal with tonight, Doug, to be brutally honest with you. And this is why I'm saying Comon's got his hands tied. Because the board aren't backing him because of World League form. I need to agree with that, but I also need to say that how we finished the game strongly. We equalised, we competed, we still had an attacking threat going forward after our best ball carrier was taken off, but we looked at a hamstring injury in Cherney. So, how many? I'm making allowances tonight, put it that way. We've competed against a squad that's made up of 550 million quid, right? With a new manager, they're absolutely ranked rotten, right? Granted, but we're also not the greatest of shapes either. So I think that how we've done's fine. I'd say that was a good performance by Rangers tonight. And when you see the draw coming out, you don't think that we're going to win, do you? You don't think we're actually going to get anything. So the fact that we've almost came away with a point is, and hopefully added £1 million onto Desser's valuation.
That would be perfect. I totally agree with you. I think sometimes we can be too quick to just put things down and be negative when sometimes it's not a case of making excuses. There's just circumstances involved. And tonight was one of those games, like you say, we've ended that match with, and the commentators made this point as well. If you take out, they said Butland and Tav, I would maybe add Dessers as well. As a fairly experienced player, you take those three out, and you've got a team, even including the players like Jeffrey and that play all the time. for us, the players that are not experienced beyond this season really is proper as well. So you've got over half the squad who are inexperienced young players and had to battle through that. Jock, what were your thoughts sort of watching the second half? As I say, we had to kind of battle through most of it until the end. But I thought we did reasonably well. I thought Tav, as biased as I can be, I thought Tav was excellent in this game. Especially considering obviously he had to move into centre back and he made some really crucial tackles and some blocks and things during the game. I thought he showed his experience throughout that second half.
Yeah, I knew Tav would have a good game tonight because he's a big Leeds man. And if for him to get a scalp like United on his badge would be fantastic. So I knew he was going to have a good game or at least show up. And he provided the assist for the equaliser. Second half, like as Scott says, Tomont's hands are tied. He's got to play with what he's got in front of him. Whenever it came to naming the squad for the Europa League way back when, there was, his hands was tied there as well with injuries, contract disputes. So two of the guys that should be in the squad and should be on the bench tonight, or even the starting 11, are probably sitting in the stands watching the corporate. So we battled well. The young guys that come on did great. Bailey Rice didn't look out of place at all, and like you say, he had a good chance where he came on a chance to the edge of the box and he put it over, but he didn't shirk him, he didn't annoy him or put him off his game. He had put Dessers through 1-on-1 with a great chip ball over the top that done the United defence. Curtis looked okay, like you say, gave the ball away a couple of times, but young kid, Old Trafford, Premier League team, what can you expect for them? They did well, and we ran United right through to the 82nd, 83rd minute. I think the comments are flying. Folks, like I say, it's a roller coaster of a game. Folks' emotions are probably high. I just think we need to sit back, take 5 minutes and look what we did with that squad and that bench as well. I think United aren't great, but I've seen a comment there. Somebody said that United have brought on 250 million worth of talent, and some of our boys have got schooled more. You know what I mean? That's just the way it was. So I can't fault it. I think we can come away with a bit of pride. I think we didn't go down there and get an absolute doing like some teams
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely, and I think that comment that just was up from John there. About proving the fact that you can put the youngsters in and that they can perform. It's bang on, and I hope that I hope that after seeing them in these two games, because I say Rice played well both games. I hope that gives Clement a bit of confidence to throw them in a bit more frequently, and because that is how they'll develop. You've seen McCausland come in, and he's had to play games, and he's developed, and there's a solid squad player, if not. If not the starter, we'd maybe like him to be. Compare that to Lowry, who's never really got many chances, and he's ultimately ended up leaving the club. So if you give these players opportunities, then they can grow and become players for us. So just the final point then is the Dessers goal. Just right at the end, the moment I think we all probably thought we'd snatch something from the game. Balls passed along the back to Tavernier. An absolute perfect ball forward. It's the type of balls that Tavernier is capable of and does do on a regular basis. And it just sits right perfectly. And Dessers, to his credit, I've seen a couple of people call it bird camp-esque, and I wouldn't disagree. He just takes it down on his 1 foot, turns and just hits it without doing what he normally does and faffing about into the corner. It's an absolutely beautiful goal from the pass to the execution. And as I say, at that point, I certainly was sitting there going, "Oh my God, we've pulled a draw out of this." What were your thoughts, Jock?
Yeah, that's it. He says Bergkamp S. He's on the spin, controls it, and then just bang past a great finish. Like you say, no faffing. You half expect him to maybe do a chop or something, where this time instinctive, just bury it, and he finds the bottom corner. Great goal, and you got all the simple ball over the top, and Maguire is done. Maguire's completely taken out. Simple ball over the top from Tav. Because Tav's, if you watch it, Tav's they're quite high up because we're pushing them back. So Tav's nearly maybe 15, 20 yards for the halfway line when he floats it over. cuts out the United midfield, cuts out the United defence, and Dessers does what more often than not he doesn't. He puts it in the net, great finish, and at that point everybody's buzzing. The WhatsApp groups going mental, Twitter's going mental, and then you're on that high roller coaster, expecting draw. That just wasn't to be tonight.
Yeah, that was unfortunately, obviously, moments after. Good pass in from the left side, and it's a goal we've seen us score with Tav numerous times, but unfortunately this time it's the other way around, and it's their captain who runs in at the back post. He totally just gets away from Yefte, who sort of looks around, knows he's there, but then just doesn't follow him fully, and then Bruno Fernandes has done that for United almost, I think, as often as Tav's done it for us, and he just slips it in, and unfortunately gets the 3 points at the end. Did you have any kind of final thoughts after the game, Scotty? As I say, we've played reasonably well. We've hung in throughout, got that equaliser. Then, as I say, the heartbreaker at the moment, bit of poor defending, but I think that's kind of the hallmark of the game for both sides. Poor defending led to the goals in the game. No one was really amazingly on top, despite United sort of dominating. I'm
kind of looking at the price of our squad that finished the game tonight, Doug, and it's like Butland free transfer, Tav 250k, Proper 1.5 million, JFD 500,000, Raskin maybe about $1.5 million, Barron 800k, well Barron obviously wasn't on at the time, Dessers 4.5 million. So you could probably round the final lineup up about 10 million, 12.5 million quid. And we managed to compete against a £500 million team.
I think that's 1 week of Haaland's new contract wages, probably.
So let's put it in context. We shouldn't be competing with teams like this. Man United should be running over Etapes with the squad they've got, and the manager they've just spent 15, 16 million getting a manager. If that's what a manager's going for now. There's been a lot of chat in our group chats the last couple of days about Matondo leaving and about how it's selfish of him for not accepting Coventry's offer. And it's the clubs that have broke down on it because Rangers are trying to play hardball over bonuses if he scores X amount of goals or whatever. And you're just sitting thinking, like, you look at the golf in the not in class, but in the financial kind of playing field. We're nowhere near these teams. We're nowhere near championship teams now. Because League One are getting more money for winning the league than what we are. So you need to put all this into perspective. Birmingham went out and bought a player at 18 million quid in the summer for Fulham. Do you know what I mean? And you're looking at it now, and we've competed against a Man United team tonight that have went and get a 2-each draw at Liverpool. They've took points off the potential champions of England at the home stadium. They're not a bad outfit. Fine, Butland's made an error. Jeff Day's made an error. But Jeff Day will learn from his error. Butland should know better, right? That's granted for me. That's an absolute howler for the big man tonight. And I don't think he's been right for the England kind of speculation. I don't think he's been showing the same form since. I think he's been more kind of not took down to your level, but I don't think he's shown the same form since Southgate turned up at Ibrox that night to watch him in the Europa League. I think that's fair to say. I don't think he's been the same goalkeeper since. I think he's been spooked by it a wee bit. But all in all, I'm proud of my team tonight, Doug, and I've got a good bit of sympathy for a manager, considering the shit hand he's had to be dealt, because he's playing his captain at centre back, who's been a right back, who's played right wing, centre mid. He's played everywhere but right forward. Do you know what I mean? Left wing. He's Tav's done everything for us this season. So highest paid player, captain. He's led by example. He's tried to do his best. He's led the team tonight. He kept Garnacho in his pocket. Garnacho's a player that you had leaned upon in your lowdown as being a danger man. Anytime that boy had the ball, he never get past half. Well, it was at right back or centre back. So credit where credit's due. I think it was a performance that we can certainly go and be proud of. We finished the team with Curtis Leon King and Bailey Rice in the park, and we've come out being defeated 2-1. Do you know what I mean? So
with a last minute goal as well.
Yep. Yep.
100%. I particularly as well, very quickly, the point about leading from the front in terms of Tav. Even when playing centre back, he was still making those advanced runs right up into the box, like frequently as well, not just like once in a while. He's a player that, in my eyes, that's the leadership that he shows to me when he's on the park. He's not the shouting type. He's the one that when we need to, he is always advancing. He's always trying to put the ball forward. And that's why one of the reasons he loses possession quite a lot as well. He's always trying to do that kind of thing. Okay, any last sort of thoughts to wrap up from yourself, Jock?
No, I think we've covered it. Like Scott says, look at the team we finished with in the park. Look at the financial gap there is between. Folk get annoyed whenever Clement says it, but he's talking facts. I think we got our eyes opened whenever we returned to the Champions League and we played Liverpool, and we were drawn. We were winning 1-0 at half time, and then they brought on 400 millions worth of talent at half time, and we ended up getting beat 7-1. It just shows you where the Champions League and the teams in the Champions League are, and the teams that are in and around that and have been for the last sort of 5-10 years, United being one of them, stratospheres away for us in terms of finance. Absolutely a million miles away. And we are punching well above our weight in this competition and have been for years against these teams. So whenever you get a glamour tie like this is the ones you want to go to, you want to experience, and those young guys that finish that'll do them a world of good, and hopefully set them up for more performances and more appearances in this Rangers squad going forward.
Absolutely, and I think it's also worth mentioning we had a lot of players that had to go off in that Liverpool game as well. So that wasn't just them beating us at our best either. So I think we've shown that we can put up a decent performance against these teams. Obviously, drew with Tottenham. So, like you say, we've shown over the last few years that we are a good European side, and I don't think anything of that has changed this evening. You have another point you want to come in on there, Scotty?
It's just kind of one last goal. We've seen Kieran Dowell come on for Bailey Rice so far this season against, say, for example, Ross County at home. Right, I'm taking a game that it probably hasn't happened in. I'm using it as an example. Kieran Dowell would come on before Bailey Rice, and we've waited until I'll change that. Philippe Clement has waited until Old Trafford to give Bailey Rice he's kind of run out, because I think it's became apparent now to Clement that this is the hand he's got. So deal with it, kind of thing. If that makes any sense, i.e., move Tav at centre back and bring whoever Yilmaz to right back, and then replace him with King, etc., etc. So I think it's a good sign, and I hope it's something that I keep seeing going forward. Whether Clement's going to be a manager come the end of the season, begin the next season, I don't know. I've accepted he's here. For him to go and run Man United that close tonight is a credit to him in Europe. But if he goes and F's it up at Tannadice on Sunday, then I'll be back on Monday night and I'll be giving him just as many pelters as what I have gave him in the last couple of months, because it's well and truly warranted in Europe. We know we've got a good manager. We've seen it with results with Club Brugge. He's really, really good to get. Like, went ahead at Bernabeu and stuff like that. He's not a dafty when it comes to managing in Europe, but when it comes to SPFL, that's where his bread and butter is. And if he starts these youth players, and if he had started them from the beginning of the season, he would have a lot more credit in the bank than he's currently got, because the fans would be understanding. We would know that Finlay Curtis is going to take time to learn, that Bailey Rice is going to take time to learn. Leon King's back in the fold. At times he is, at times he isn't. And Ciala's come out, he looks a player. So I just kind of want to put a wee bit of context on my comments about come on tonight. As much as I'm backing him tonight, if he doesn't get a result on Sunday, then I'll be coming after him again on Monday night again. Nothing's changing in my eyes.
You've hit on the crux. I've always said that the difficulty for any manager managing the big two in Scotland is balancing trying to be a competitive European team with how to battle out in the SPFL. And that's the trick, because I think most of the managers that we attract, they can do the European part, because that's the style of football that people want to play. It's more open, it's more tactical, and so all of our managers, since we've been back in the Premiership, have cracked that geo to the almost the perfect degree, but all struggled to crack the SPL. Obviously, Gerard managed it at the end. But that's where the struggle is, and that will be the do or die for Clermont, as you say. This was his first away loss in Europe for 7 games. I mean, that's an amazing run. Tonight would have been a record had we held on. So he's got that bit down pat. I think it's getting that consistency in the league now, because we're fine at home, but we're absolutely woeful away, and that will be what the decision is. So hopefully going into that game, we'll get a result. I popped a wee poll in the comments for the man of the match, and the outcome from that, we've got 50% for Tav, 33% went for Rice, and 16% went for Dessers. Jock, your man of the match?
Well, give it to Tav. I think overall he was there. You can't fault what he did. He's got an assist as usual. He drove the team forward. As you say, even when we were sort of under the cosh a wee bit in that second half, he still, took the ball and showed that presence and that leadership that the team needed. I think in an atmosphere like that, in a game like that, especially at that point, and then to dig out the 1-1, and could have been something else. Just a bit unlucky, really. So I'll give it to him.
And yourself, Scotty, man of the match?
Oh, James Tavernier. Played like a true Leeds United supporter tonight, Doug. Everybody knows that Leeds are my English team. I've never hidden it before. I'm not going to hide it in the future. So, James Tavernier, 100%. Talk about captain's performance. He led from right back and centre back tonight. Good on him.
Yeah, I'm going to give that the clean sweep then. So for all 4 of us, the 3 here and those in the comments, picking Tavernier for the night. So just leaves me to say, on behalf of the guys, thank you for tuning in this evening, folks. Obviously a disappointing evening, but nonetheless, I think we can come out of that with our heads held high. And we should remember, it's not as if that's put us out of Europe or anything. We're still on track to qualify, albeit that probably makes it more likely it'll be through the knockout rounds, but we've gone that route before, so we shall happily do it again. So it'll be on to the next match against Union, which is at Ibrox, and we all know what nights are like in Europe at Ibrox, so we can go into that, I think, positively with confidence. So thanks for tuning in. We've got more content obviously coming up for you on the Rangers Journal for the remainder of the week, and obviously into the upcoming matches, so do stay tuned in. Just leaves me to thank everyone for tuning in. Thanks to guys for both commenting tonight, and just a reminder that every night it's Rangers Journal night. Good night. Thank you very much.